temperatures. But anyway, who knows? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And I did send an article on the WhatsApp group, which I don't know if any of you have had time to read it, but it's really interesting. And then there was also a little video of John Kabat-Zinn himself leading a little meditation, which I did share as well. So this is some research from the Max Planck Institute. It's a neuroscience lab in Germany, one of the most famous neuroscience laboratories. And when I came across this article that I shared with you in the WhatsApp group, a bit of research, I shared it today, so maybe read it before bed. It says in the article that there are different meditations work different parts of your brain. So focus meditation like breath meditation, body scan, those type of meditations where you focus your mind, build your frontal lobes, okay? Other meditations like empathy, thinking of others, builds the parietal lobe, which is your empathy sort of center. And then when you think thoughts of loving kindness and emotional intelligence, the part of the brain that gets built is the insular to temporal pole. So you can see the highlighted parts there, the different colors. Now, there's some meditation schools that will teach you a particular technique, and they'll say that is the only meditation that you must do. I completely disagree. In this program, you'll see that every week you'll be given a different practice. And those practices in the article, in the research article by Max Planck, they said these are the practices, and I had already put those practices in my training. So I literally jumped for joy. I was like, whoopee, because I realized it was an intuitive angle from my side, but then confirmed by the science laboratory that I was totally on the right track. And I was like, yes. So everything that is in this program, neuroscience has pretty much backed it and said it's solid, it's sound, and that it's good to work the whole brain and not just one part of the brain. Because you never go to gym and just work your legs, right? The rest of your body's like skinny and you've got these big legs. You go to the gym, you train your legs, you train your arms, your back, your chest, whatever, your abs. And it's the same with our brain. We got to experience a complete brain wellness or workout. Okay? So if you think of your brain like a muscle, like another body, then you're winning. Okay? Then you're getting smart. According to neuroscience, that is key. The prefrontal cortex, which is that part of the brain, the frontal lobe, the executive functioning. So as you are growing that part of your brain by doing your breath meditation and today a body scan, these qualities are enhanced. Task flexibility, attention, motivation, working memory, reasoning, overcoming ingrained behavior patterns, dealing with novel situations, decision-making, error correction, troubleshooting, planning and execution, flexibility of thinking, impulse control, concept formation, abstract thinking, and creativity. I mean, these are major functions of your brain. And when you focus your attention on one thing, they all increase in quality. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't spend my day lifting heavy things or bricks or carrying wheelbarrows or lifting pickaxes or anything like that. I spend the whole day using my brain. And I want my brain to be fit so that I can continue to work well and live well. So when it comes to my brain, I'm quite happy to make sure that my prefrontal cortex is looked after. In the same way that, I take my body to gym and train. I want to make sure that I I'm looking after my brain and the executive functions of my brain. Stress affects the brain quite severely. Chronic stress, that is. A little bit of stress is okay, it's good for us, but prolonged stress over a period of time wreaks havoc on your brain. And not just stress, but autopilot living, or should I say autopilot zombies, because we're not really alive in autopilot. We're more like zombies, okay? We're like the Walking Dead, because we're not here. We're in the future, or we're in the past. Dr. Ellen Langer, who is the, they call her the grandmother of mindfulness. She's been teaching mindfulness for 35 years. She's a tenure at Harvard University. She's done so much research on autopilot life and mindfulness. She says that human beings generally in this day and age are on autopilot for 47% of the day. 47% of our day, we are not truly present. That's staggering. She says that most of the suffering that we experience in life comes from being in autopilot and making dumb decisions when we're in autopilot, or doing dumb things when we're on autopilot. And I know just a little bit of suffering, like come home, I'm on autopilot, I put my keys down somewhere. When it's time to go out again, I can't find my keys because I don't know where I put them. I came home and I was on autopilot. I put my keys somewhere I didn't remember. That causes me 5 minutes of searching the house to find my keys. Then I'm upset. I know it's simple example, but there's so many more examples of how we stress ourselves out because we're not present. Stress can cause hair loss, headaches, heart disease, bad stomach health, diabetes, weight gain. Yeah, stress causes weight gain because the cortisol causes flab and excess body fat, asthma, and so on. You may resonate with some of these. And here's a little video. I really think that this video is extremely powerful. And it's on stress. And I got it from, it's a TED video. So I'm going to ask you what you think of it once you've finished watching it. But here goes.
Are you sleeping restlessly, feeling irritable or moody, forgetting little things, and feeling overwhelmed and isolated? Don't worry, we've all been there. You're probably just stressed out. Stress isn't always a bad thing. It can be handy for a burst of extra energy and focus, like when you're playing a competitive sport or have to speak in public. But when it's continuous, the kind most of us face day in and day out, it actually begins to change your brain. Chronic stress, like being overworked or having arguments at home, can affect brain size, its structure, and how it functions, right down to the level of your genes. Stress begins with something called the hypothalamus-pituitary-adrenal axis, a series of interactions between endocrine glands in the brain and on the kidney, which controls your body's reaction to stress. When your brain detects a stressful situation, your HPA axis is instantly activated and releases a hormone called cortisol, which primes your body for instant action. But high levels of cortisol over long periods of time wreak havoc on your brain. For example, chronic stress increases the activity level and number of neural connections in the amygdala, your brain's fear center. And as levels of cortisol rise, electric signals in your hippocampus, the part of the brain associated with learning, memories, and stress control, deteriorate. The hippocampus also inhibits the activity of the HPA axis, so when it weakens, so does your ability to control your stress. That's not all though. Cortisol can literally cause your brain to shrink in size. Too much of it results in the loss of synaptic connections between neurons and the shrinking of your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that regulates behaviors like concentration, decision-making, judgment, and social interaction. It also leads to fewer new brain cells being made in the hippocampus. This means chronic stress might make it harder for you to learn and remember things, and also set the stage for more serious mental problems like depression and eventually Alzheimer's disease. The effects of stress may filter right down to your brain's DNA. An experiment showed that the amount of nurturing a mother rat provides its newborn baby plays a part in determining how that baby responds to stress later in life. The pups of nurturing moms turned out less sensitive to stress because their brains developed more cortisol receptors, which stick to cortisol and dampen the stress response. The pups of negligent moms had the opposite outcome, and so became more sensitive to stress throughout life. These are considered epigenetic changes, meaning that they affect which genes are expressed without directly changing the genetic code. And these changes can be reversed if the moms are swapped. But there's a surprising result. The epigenetic changes caused by one single mother rat were passed down to many generations of rats after her. In other words, the results of these actions were inheritable. It's not all bad news, though. There are many ways to reverse what cortisol does to your stressed brain. The most powerful weapons are exercise and meditation, which involves breathing deeply and being aware and focused on your surroundings. Both of these activities decrease your stress and increase the size of the hippocampus, thereby improving your memory. So don't feel defeated by the pressures of daily life. Get in control of your stress before it takes control of you.
I've watched that video probably 200 times, and I always get something new out of it. Anybody have any comments? What stood out for you? Any sort of key takeaways from that video? There was so much in it, but is there something that sort of landed for you this evening? Antoinette, you got your camera on? Yeah.
I think just again, I have resistance against exercise. I've always had it my whole life long. And I think that's probably my missing link is exercise. So I'm going to bring that in. I wasn't planning to speak, but now that you put me I put myself on the spot. I think I'm going to try to exercise and just see what it does because, yeah, I actually can feel some mornings when I get up that my muscles, it feels like they're burning almost. You know, there's a tightness or like I can feel that they want to move. There's something that's really been coming to me lately, and that is that this is our vehicle. You know, it's really, really, really coming to me lately that this is our tool. You know, and the tool performs the way that you lubricate it and look after it and whatever. So, like I think a lot of what we feel often with these things coming up for us is literally the way that we actually is managing our tool.
Sure.
Anxiety and so the tool and the mind. Anyway, my 2 cents. Thank you.
I was going to say that it's going to help you sleep as well. Exercise. It's a big component of having a good night's rest.
I sleep pretty well. My dreams are just very vivid. And I prefer it like that almost in a way because then at least I know the next day I know what I dreamt because it's clear.
Yeah.
You know, I don't go like, oh, I hate it when I'm fuzzy around my dreams because that's just another thing that like then occupies going like, why did I dream last night? Why am I feeling weird? So it is, but it's just very active. That's the only thing. It's very active. So yeah, something's just anyway. Yeah, the exercise I think needs to come in. Yeah. I would be interested to know who else in the group actually exercises a lot or exercises enough because I think a lot of people, I look at my kids, I look at my friends, don't exercise.
Interesting. So I try exercise every day, although I've been sick the last 2 weeks. So I've only exercised maybe 3 or 4 times. Even while I was sick, I still went to the gym, which wasn't a good idea, but I started going nuts. Because I find if I don't exercise during the day, I am grumpy and it affects my mental health if I'm not exercising. I really am a different person. So I can't recommend it enough. If there's anybody else that seconds that, or Bronwyn goes to gym every morning, don't you,
I
Bron?
do. I do, at least in the weekdays. And I often tell there's a group of us that train, and everyone's got their goals. But I always say to the team, like, well, not team, but we're a team, that I'm not there for muscle gain or fat loss. I'm honestly there for mental health. And Jeanette, I just find that I'm not okay if I don't train. My mental state of mind is not, it's not what it should be. I don't know what it is. But yeah, it's really critical. And some mornings it's as simple as just doing Pilates, right? But it does something magical to your body. And I mean, hopefully I'll find that in this mindfulness journey that I'm on as well. Maybe it will just enhance that. But yeah, gym is, it makes all the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Mark, I also wanted to just reflect. There was a point in the video where they spoke about memory. And I find that component so fascinating because, you know, one of the first indicators of stress for me is it's a crazy thing, but it's direction. Driving, you know, to the office or home or to the kids' school.
Yeah.
When I drive past the turn off, or I hit blanks. Like I just can't remember where the mall is or where the school is. I know that I've reached a certain point where I've just got to relax, and it's very bizarre, but I can sometimes not know how to get home. And then I know cortisol's creating havoc for me. It's a bit scary.
Yeah, it's affecting your hippocampus, and basically what you're experiencing is something called the amygdala hijack, where the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus are affected, and their efficiency is decreased because of stress, because of the fight, flight, or freeze. So yeah, it's a very real thing. Any other comments?
I think I'm on the same page with Antoinette. Exercise, I think I did it last when I was in college, and that's many moons ago. I had gym contracts after gym contracts, and I think if I, out of the 24 months, if I do 2 or 3 days, it's been a lot. But also watching this video, realizing how stress actually impacts your overall body and mind. I never actually thought of stress because I used to think that my memory was so bad after having COVID. But now I'm starting to think maybe something else is affecting the memory. Because if it's not written down, I'm not remembering it. I'm at that stage now that I write everything down. It's in a book or it's in Outlook or somewhere to remind me. And before I could remember anything, so yeah, I think this is an eye-opener that I need to do a few changes, start slowly. Because I can't also go from 0 to hero. But yeah, I think a few things need to change
100%.
in terms of the exercising.
That's awesome. Glad to hear it. Any other comments? Stefan?
Yeah, I think exercise should not be like a diet, you know. It shouldn't be you shouldn't do it to lose weight or to look good or for any external reason. I think the only way that it will really bring joy and take stress away is if it comes from within. And like, it should be a mental health thing, you know?
Yeah.
As was said previously, I agree with that. And I also think, if we don't exercise or don't eat or slip up a little, we shouldn't think we failed or we did something wrong or blame ourselves, criticize or judge ourselves. Then we're making it worse, and then it takes control over us.
Yeah.
And then it's not a good thing anymore, you know, I think. So I eat healthy most of the times, and when I don't, it's good. I exercise quite a lot, and if I don't, it's good, you know. But I do it for mental health, you know, mindfulness.
Sure.
That's what mental health is in a way. So it becomes easy and obvious, you know. It's not a struggle It's not a fight. And if I don't do it, it's also good, you know? But I won't do it I won't stop for months. But if I go to George or to Botswana, which happens, and then it's 5 days out of your life,
Yeah.
and then you're losing complete momentum. I mean, and in Botswana, you only eat red meat and bread. They don't have fruit and veg there. So I can't even eat healthy, even if I want to, except if I fast, which I am doing sometimes. I mean, meat is cheap, but veg and fruit is expensive and scarce. I'm talking about Botswana now.
Wow.
And we go with the bikes, so you don't have a lot of place to pack, you know.
So nice.
But then you surrender. You just surrender to it, really. And in the old days when I drank a lot of beer and wine, nothing mattered. Now I'm sober all the time. So now, now I realize exactly what I'm experiencing all the time. Yeah. And my brother had a difficult life. Why I'm saying this in context of this. So his brain has stamped a lot. He was diagnosed. His small brain, yeah, it's smaller than small, and that's because of trauma and
Okay.
unhealthy habits.
Okay.
And they said so. You know, so and he starts to forget. He talks
Yeah.
confusing all the time,
Yeah.
all the time. You know, so it's a medical fact as well, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
no, no. So that's my 5 cents.
Well, the birth
Thank you,
certificate.
Antoinette. Antoinette's 2 cents.
It's great.
Oh,
Well, we see that stress and trauma affects the brain, and the brain gets smaller, right? I think that's nobody knows these things. Nobody understands these things. Everybody knows about their bodies and their body and how to get a six pack, how to grow their arm muscles, but nobody knows anything about the brain. And the brain's like the thing they use all day long. So that's why this program and that's why these things are so important. Another thing I want to reflect on is often when I talk to people and I say, what do you do for your mental health? They say, I ride my bicycle. So a lot of people will just say that they do physical activity and that's all they do for their mental health. I don't think that is enough. I'll tell you why, because there's a lot of real high-end athletes, real high-end sports people that suffer from extreme anxiety and depression. It doesn't mean that just because you exercise, you're going to be happy. You know, it's got to be both. And in the video, it said meditation and physical exercise. So people say healthy body equals healthy mind. I'd prefer to switch it and say healthy mind equals healthy body. If you're not in a good state of mind, you're not going to be motivated to get up and go to gym. You're not going to be motivated to go for a run or to exercise, right? It's just going to be too difficult. So the mind has to be, your mental health has to be pretty good to be able to be motivated to look after your physical, right? And vice versa. Like you just keep switching it. Healthy body equals healthy mind equals healthy body. But don't tell me the one way, healthy body equals healthy mind. I'm going to say, yeah, but you're missing the second part or the first part or whatever, you know? And everyone forgets to do mindfulness. Everyone forgets to do proactive mental wellness. Exercise is an imperative. Meditation is also imperative, just as important, if not more. So that's my 2 cents worth. All right, let's come back to the slides. I love that video. I will be sharing that video with you on the WhatsApp group as well. All right, so stress. We feel stress in the body. And maybe you guys can pop in the chat. Where do you feel stress? When you are stressed, what happens? Is it your neck that goes? Is it your back? Is it your shoulders? Is it your stomach? Do you have stomach issues? I have nausea when I get stressed. I get heart palpitations. I get reflux. I get like acid. What's it? Heartburn. What else? Dizzy. Sometimes I get dizzy. My lower back hurts. So guys, maybe another awareness exercise. What happens to your body What happens to you when you're going through a stressful time? Where do you feel it? I think it's important to know, right? So in future, you go, oh wow, okay. Oriel saying migraines, reflux, knots in the shoulders and back. Yep. Bronwyn, hips, also grind my teeth. Yep. Palpitations and earache. Okay, good. Danielle, a lot of tension in the neck and shoulders, also in the stomach. Solar plexus, Antoinette, heart and lungs, breath is shallow. Obviously do not get optimal oxygen, so I feel tired. Yeah. So being aware mindfully, right? Once we connect the mind and body well, then we go, my shoulder is sore, my neck's getting stiff. I need to manage my stress. My body is telling me something. Okay? My stomach is telling me something. So this lady over here, her name is Sarah Lazar. She's a Harvard neuroscientist. She was a runner and she was training for the Boston Marathon, and she injured her foot and she started to do yoga. Now, yoga is a very mindful type movement activity, right? And then after 8 weeks of doing yoga, people said, Sarah, your personality has changed. You're not so angry or so like upset every time. You're very nice. What's happened? And she was like, oh, I don't know. I've been doing yoga. I'm not sure. So Sarah went and put herself through the MRI scanner, which is a brain scanner. And she noticed that there were differences in her brain. She found that quite interesting because yoga had literally changed the shape of her brain. She then started looking at the brains of yogis compared to people that don't do yoga. She was looking at the brains of people that meditate compared to those who do not meditate. And she found that there were some changes, specifically the prefrontal cortex in people that meditate or do yoga was pronounced. It was thicker. The cortical thickness was bigger in the prefrontal cortex. She found that the amygdala, which is an almond-shaped part of your brain, if you go through your eyes and ears at that intersection point, you'll find the amygdala. There's 2 of them, and that detects a threat. She found that in people that meditate, the amygdala is smaller, and in people that are generally anxious and stressed, the amygdala is bigger. Okay? So if the amygdala is big, that means that you are trained more to stress and freak out and be reactive, which is fascinating. She also found that there were changes in the temporal to insular pole, where we can be kinder, more understanding, and changes in the parietal region at the top of the brain in terms of empathy and being able to be curious and perspective taking. So she was really interested in how awesome a meditator's brain starts to look after 8 weeks. Even after 8 weeks, the brain starts to change and grow in all the right places. And in the wrong places, it gets smaller and weaker in the stress centers. Okay? Which is good news. It's really good news. So I thought that was absolutely fascinating. And again, Max Planck Institute in Germany backs up Sarah Lazar's findings. In London, I lived in London for a year. I really tried my utmost not to catch these taxis because they're very expensive, especially once the tube stops at 11 o'clock at night. And then you have to get home. Anyway, in order to get a job as a London cabbie driver, before GPS, you would have to memorize all the street names in London. So if someone jumped in the car and said, take me to Windsor Avenue, you know exactly where that is. Then came GPS, and now they don't have to memorize anything. So what was interesting is some of the brains of cabbie drivers were scanned under MRI before GPS, and they had really big hippocampus, or hippocampi is the plural, I don't know. Then after GPS, they scanned those people's brains again and found that their hippocampus shrunk and got weaker. So that memorization of all the street names made the hippocampus healthy and strong. And then GPS comes along and they don't use their brain anymore. So the brain starts to deteriorate, wither. There's a lot, big connection in neuroscience between Alzheimer's, dementia, and not practicing mindfulness or not being mindful. And we'll get into more of that research. So mindfulness, we have a life challenge. Normally we'd have a negative reaction that increases stress. More negative reaction, then your stress becomes chronic. If we practice mindfulness, we have a life challenge. The initial reaction might be negative. We apply some mindful awareness. We choose to respond mindfully with wise thoughts, words, and actions, and then we restore balance. This is the burnout scale. A little bit of stress is good for us. Okay, it helps us with peak performance, which is here in the middle, like public speaking or breaking records in sport. We all know that we perform better in a big crowd. We've got a little bit of butterflies in the tummy, and it makes us go faster, or we just speak better. But too much stress over a long time will lead to exhaustion, panic, anger, anxiety, burnout, etc. Too little will leave us here, bored, right? So that's also not great. So it's interesting, not all stress is bad, right? Stress can be good as a motivator, but too much of it then begins to hurt our bodies and our brains. I love this quote. Mark Twain says, "The worst disasters in my life never actually happened," because we catastrophize. The human brain has negativity bias, so we're always thinking of the worst thing that can happen, right? Danielle saying, "I'm interested to see how my brain has changed since I had a brain tumor removed 22 years ago. It was a pituitary adomina, the area responsible for emotional," if I have it right. Wow, that's interesting. I'm not sure. Emotional regulation is in the prefrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex. So not too quite sure where the pituitary adenoma is. Interesting, Danielle. I just want to skip past that. So, I mean, Dr. Viktor Frankl, who is the most incredible psychologist, he lived during the Second World War. He was a prisoner in a Nazi concentration camp, and he wrote Man's Search for Meaning. It's a great book. When he came out of the concentration camp, he published his book and he gave talks. And this is his most famous quote: "Between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space lies our freedom to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our happiness." Take a moment and just read it for yourself. Okay, it's beautiful. Can we make a space in our life, space in our mind for mindfulness? It's all about creating a space. It's the space that your parents told you to count to 10 before you say or do anything when you get angry or triggered. One of my students told me that he did my 14-week training and it gave him 3 seconds. And as a business owner, he said, before I answer or do anything, I count to 3, and it's changed my life. So to create a space, to slow things down in such a crazy, frenetic world, I mean, that's a revolution in itself, just to try and slow things down. And in that, ironically, is our ability to be better and more productive. In a meeting environment where tempers fly high and people can get triggered, how about creating space, slowing the meeting down, taking time to answer, repeating back what people said, giving your prefrontal cortex a chance to stay online? Because stress, or when you get triggered and you're angry, what happens is the amygdala shuts down the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus, and it's what neuroscientists say, the amygdala hijack. You are transformed into a fighting or running away machine, which doesn't help when you're sitting at a boardroom table in a corporate environment. So we have to understand that your body is not designed for this modern world. Our body is 200,000 years old. Okay, I'm not 200,000 years old, but the human body is. Our body is more adaptable to jungle or savanna living, hunting and gathering, because even farming in the history of humankind is a very new thing. So our body is adapted to hunting and gathering, and it hasn't changed, our bodies. Okay? So now we're wearing collared shirts, we're sitting on office chairs, we wear dresses, we go to Woolworths and buy our food, and it's so easy, right? But the stress that we experience from, say, your colleague being an idiot or an angry boss, the amygdala sees that in the same way as someone coming at you with a spear, or as a threat to your life or your family's life. And it's not. But the amygdala reacts the same way. It shuts the prefrontal cortex down to a large degree, and the hippocampus. It pumps blood to your extremities, getting you ready for a fight. Cortisol is a painkiller. So if you get bitten or stabbed or punched, you can keep fighting. Okay, that's what cortisol does. Adrenaline makes you fight harder or run faster. How do those chemicals help you in a sales meeting or in a business meeting? They don't. They don't. Because any rationality, any ability to be logical shuts down. And you might even start swearing and shouting. As we know, people die from road rage. Normal people. People like you and me. Okay? So, it's amazing just to understand our physiology. Just our physiology. And John Kabat-Zinn's definition. So powerful, so wonderful. And next week, you're going to remember it, because I'm going to be asking you, what is the definition? The benefits of mindfulness really came into play for me in a very volatile and very dangerous situation. We had a home invasion when I was with my ex a couple of years ago, and we were sleeping, and we wake up and there's two guys in our room, and they came through the window, and one had a gun, one had a knife, and it was really traumatic. We wake up, they turn the lights on, my heart rate is 200 beats a minute, I'm sure. My wife couldn't even scream, her voice was stuck, her throat was sort of closed, and fortunately they didn't hurt us. They tied us up in bed. Very traumatic though. And I recall my ex looking at these guys, and they were very upset with her because of something in her eyes. I don't know what was going on. Because she was so terrified, it became infectious. The invaders felt the fear, they felt the panic too. So I said to my wife, baby, just look at me and breathe. Look into my eyes, slow your breathing down. And we did. And we did some breath work while these guys were cleaning out the house. And my son was 3 years old at the time in the other room. And we calmed our nervous system to a degree, right? We did a meditation. I didn't fight back. I didn't swear at them. I wasn't reactive. I was responsive. And I owe all of that to my mindfulness and meditation practice. Because when the poo-poo hits the fan, and it will, you need to stay cool, calm, and collected. How are you going to stay cool, calm, and collected? Not by chance, because you're practicing it every day. And it might save your life. In my case, yes, it did. And in fact, when they left the house, they said, we're so sorry we did this to you. You people are good people. You're calm. I said, thank you. Don't worry. It's fine. You know, it wasn't fine. But anyway, maybe I should run anti-hijack-like programs and just teach people how to be mindful in volatile situations, because it really worked. It does work. And you'll see, hopefully, never you're in a bad situation. But if you are, you'll find that you'll know that your mindfulness practice kicks in when you need it the most, because you'll be non-reactive. You'll be non-reactive, and it might save your life. You'll be able to stop that amygdala hijack from happening, okay? Because your anterior cingulate cortex will be very strong and very well developed in the brain. Yeah, thanks, Fruna. So I'm going to lead us into the next homework meditation practice. It's called the body scan, and it was popularized by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, who definition we're learning, and I put his video on the group, so please watch it. In the 1980s, John started doing this practice with his patients, people that were suffering from triple bypass surgery, from back surgery, from extreme depression. And he took these people on an 8-week journey. That's why the course is 8 weeks, by the way. And he had such phenomenal positive results from these people in terms of their pain management and their relief from their depression, that he published a book called Full Catastrophe Living, which became a massive bestseller. And since, the research on mindfulness has been exponential. John taught the body scan. This is what he promoted. It's not John's meditation, however. It comes from an ancient meditation practice called Yoga Nidra, which is about 5,000, 6,000 years old, at least that we know. It might be older. Yoga Nidra is, what is it? The sleep of yoga. It's a relaxation. Whereas John's adaptation was more, he took it from Buddhism, from Goenka and those masters, and he adapted it to be secular and scientific. Okay, so I'm going to take you through my body scan. It's very similar to John's, except I have a little bit of gratitude added to it. Okay, yeah. So let's do one now. You're welcome to lie down for this one if you like. If you're feeling sleepy, you might just fall asleep. I don't know. So I'm going to sit. Choosing your comfortable position. Let us take in a deep breath in through the nose. And breathe it out. You can drop your eyelids if you like. If you're feeling sleepy, then leave your eyes slightly open. Okay, you don't have to close them. Breathing a little bit deeper than normal, not too deep. Let's start with our feet. So wiggle your toes. There we go. My toes are working. Okay, you can stop wiggling. Move your awareness into your feet, the soles of your feet, your ankles, your heels, the top of your feet. How are my feet today? Is there a sensation in my feet or a lack of sensation? Think about your journey in this life, the places that you've walked, where your feet have taken you, and be grateful for your journey, whether it's been good or bad. Just be grateful. It's brought you here. Moving your awareness into your shins and your calves. And as we do so, we experience our body with non-reactivity, open-heartedness, and non-judgment. How are my calves and my shins feeling? Moving your awareness into your knees. And sometimes there's a story or a history or injury in this area. Let go of all of that and just experience the knees for what they are right now. Letting go of that and moving your awareness into your legs, your quads, and your hamstrings, and the femur bone. And just feel how my legs feeling today. Is there a sensation there or lack of sensation? You might even feel the contact with the seat underneath you. Keeping your mind in your legs. Your mind may wander to something else. Gently bring it back. Remember the cycle of mindfulness. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. Being aware of your bum, seated or lying down, and the contact of the seat or bed underneath you. It's wonderful to sit on something comfortable. I'm grateful too. Bringing awareness into the pelvic region and into the reproductive organs and shining the light of awareness in this region. We move our attention into the abdomen, the tummy, and as you breathe, you can feel expanding and breathing out, contracting. Your belly, it moves as you breathe. Be aware of your internal organs, your digestive system, your liver, your kidneys, your spleen. You might not know where they all are, but they're all working for you. And I'm grateful for them. Thank you, guys. for keeping me alive. Your tummy might be making little sounds. Can you hear or not? Bringing awareness into the lower back, possibly feeling the connection with the chair. Extending that awareness up the spine and across the rest of the back. Cascading your awareness into the chest region, moving around the rib cage, and taking a deep breath and feeling the chest rise and expand, and exhaling a slight falling. Be aware of the sensation of your skin on the clothes on your skin as you breathe. And you might even feel the subtle beating of your heart in your chest. If you don't worry. It is beating. Bring awareness into the neck, the shoulders. And a lot of stress is stored in this region, but just by shining the light of awareness, alleviates a lot of stress, like a mental massage. Our body just wants to be seen, just like everybody else. And now moving the awareness into the arms, the forearms, the biceps, triceps, the elbows. Cascading that awareness down the arms. How are the arms feeling today? I'm grateful for my arms. And now opening your hands and just feel the strength of them being open. I'm so grateful for my hands, my fingers. How are my fingers feeling? I type emails, I write letters, I cook, I clean, I wash, I wipe tears away, I caress. So many things I do with my hands. I'm grateful for what they do. You can relax your hands now. And now moving all that awareness back through the hands and the arms and into the neck. Softening the jawline, letting go of clenching. And if you want to stop grinding your teeth, just be more aware of loosening the jaw. Be aware of your teeth and your mouth and your tongue and your chin. Take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale out the nostrils. Be aware of your nose, your lips. Be aware of your ears. How are your ears feeling? Softening the cheekbones, softening your eyes, your brow, decreasing your frown lines, and relax, relax, relax. Bringing awareness into the scalp and every hair on your head. And then moving that into your brain. How is your brain feeling? It's a wonderful machine, uses 20% of your body's energy, and so far it is the most advanced thing in the universe. And now concentrating all of your attention at your crown, at the top of your head. And noticing any sensation or lack of sensation. And finally, your skin that surrounds your body. Try to be mindful of your skin in its entirety. The feeling of being covered. And your skin, if it's bruised or cut, it heals. I'm so grateful for my skin. It teaches me also to be resilient, that I too will heal. Okay. Let's end this now with a big deep breath in. And sigh the breath out. And blinking the eyes open. Right. Anybody feeling stressed? No? Ah, see, it works, eh? I think people are sleepy. Yeah. One of my favorite practices of all time, the body scan. Now you know. I'm sure a lot of you have practiced it before. Hello, Kitty. You're making me jealous, Internet. So our home practice then is to do the body scan. I will share it with you on the WhatsApp group. Remember the cycle of mindfulness, right? You're focusing your attention on your body, your mind will wander, and you then gently bring it back. That's how you build your brain. That's one repetition, two repetition. Every time you come back, you're building your brain. So don't be afraid of distractions. Distractions are good because then you can come back from distraction. Okay? Don't see distraction and thought as enemy. See it as something good. You know, like Stefan says, everything's good, right? See it as something good. Right? It's not bad. It's good. Use it. Use it for the good. Your meditation is the body scan. Then we move into mindful eating. All right? I'm not going to go into the detail of how to do mindful eating because I made a video which is really cool and you can watch that tomorrow. All right? It's similar to mindful coffee and mindful tea. Same. Try and do one mindful meal a day, at least. Okay? Might be breakfast, lunch, might even be a little snacky bar. Just try and do one. I like to make popcorn and eat popcorn mindfully. I'll tell you why, because I was at the movies and I was shoving popcorn in my face like this. And my kid looked at me, said, "Jeepers, Dad." He said, like you're gutsing out on the popcorn and look at it, it's all over the seat. It's all over you. And I felt embarrassed. So I started eating one at a time. So I find mindful popcorn eating is a very good exercise. But you can apply it to your plate of food, right? Eat it slowly, mindfully. I'll send you the video. Even if you slow your eating down, you will lose weight, okay? And your digestion will thank you. And it's a mental health exercise as well. keep up with the mindful coffee. And your journaling practice is this one. We carry on with non-reactivity, but once a day, maybe in a day, you can write down some gratitude. Gratitude's easy. So for those of you that are battling to get into your journal practice, here's a good start. Just write down some things to be grateful for. 10 things. And then try to mix it up so it's not the same 10 things every day. Try to find new things to be grateful for. Okay, push yourself. Right? Really push yourself. And then we rewire our brain to see the world in a better way by practicing gratitude. Gratitude on its own doesn't work, eh? You got to put mindfulness and gratitude, then it works. Because mindfulness will help you to remember to be grateful and to make it a practice on purpose in the particular way in the present moment, and we pay attention to it. Okay? So gratitude on its own does not work. You have to practice gratitude, and that is mindfulness. Then carry on journaling non-reactivity, but perhaps not as much, because now we're bringing some gratitude into the equation. Let's see, body scan. Yes, Danielle. Mindful chocolate eating. Yes, that's so true. Eating in moderation, one little cube at a time. I found when I started eating chocolate mindfully, I didn't have to eat the whole bar. I could just eat half and save the other half for another time. Okay? It's not so much about the quantity, it's about the quality. Okay? Yes. Like pizza. Man, I could get a pizza, eat that whole thing in front of a TV, and then I'd be so disappointed. Oh no, I finished the pizza, I didn't even taste it. But now my tummy's so full, I feel sick because I ate so much. I wasn't there for the pizza. I want my money back. I phoned the pizza place. I say, I want my money back. They say, oh, you're crazy, you know? Yeah, but I didn't taste it. Well, that's your problem. Let's enjoy life. Let's taste that cool drink, taste the coffee, taste the pizza, and be there. Not a zombie eating pizza, but a real human being eating a pizza or having a cup of tea or enjoying a nice breakfast. A real human being. You know, zombies can also eat, but they don't taste anything because they're somewhere else. You see, you want to max out on pleasure? Be mindful. You'll experience more pleasure. Okay, and then I'll send you guys some more messaging throughout the week. And that's it. Any questions or comments before we close? Okay. I think we must all sing happy birthday to Stefan. How about that? Okay. It's going to sound like a mess because of Zoom, but let's do it anyway.
Okay, I'll join.
Right. Happy birthday.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday, dear
Stefan.
Stefan.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to
to
you.
me.
Hurrah.
Thank you
Hurrah.
so much. Thank you.
54.
Yay.
Yes.
Man,
Yes,
I wish I had some candles for you, but I've got a match. Let me light something.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah, for you, Stefan.
Cheers.
Thank you for shining your light.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Pleasure. Great, guys. Okay, well, we'll see you next week. And good luck with your practice. I'll be checking in on you. And then obviously we'll do a check-in next week as well. Every week from now on, we're going to be checking in like we did this morning. So no excuses for not doing any homework. Okay. All right. No pressure. No pressure. All right, guys. Thanks. Have a great week. Adios.
Bye.
Thanks,
Everyone.
Mark. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mark.
Ciao. Bye.
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 Bye.